You're watching ASOTU CON 2024, presented in collaboration with Reynolds and Gubagoo.
Thanks to our studio partner AutomotiveMastermind and to AutoGenius for partnering with us to put on Pitch Tank.
My name is Steve Greenfield, and I'm fresh off a plane from Amsterdam, so hopefully I'm caffeinated enough to get going, but I actually slept last night, and the rooms here are pretty good, so compared to the shitty hotel I was in Amsterdam yesterday. Well, thank you for attending. This is the first time we've done this at ASOTU CON, and I'm expecting it to go off without a glitch, but you just never know, right? So here are the dynamics for you to know and some inside baseball. So we have 3 companies today. Can we get the slide up? And so as not to confuse us on stage, we're actually going to go through in that order. So we've got CarCutter, followed by SpaceAuto, followed by Upstart. And you may recognize some of these logos or not. Hopefully they've brought a bit of their cheering section today to vote for them, to kind of juice the results. But here's the important thing to keep in mind. One, as I said, we need your vote. So if for whatever reason you haven't downloaded the app yet, please download the app. In the app, if you go to our session, in the lower left-hand corner, as I said, there should be a poll or a scoring button. And we're going to need you to score at the end of the sessions, at the end of all 3 sessions. And this is why that's important. One, most obviously, the weighting, all of you in the audience, and only you in the audience, have a third of the vote today. We've got our 2 esteemed judges up here. We're expecting them to do an outstanding job and being very critical. Let me read off what their scoring rubric is, because that may not have been visible to you before. But we've asked them to effectively score each of these 3 pitches across 4 elements. 1 being innovation and uniqueness of the company in the pitch. 2 being the market impact and the adoption potential by dealers. 3 being the customer value. So what's the actual ROI? What's the value being delivered to the customer? And then finally, the clarity and completeness of the product vision. So when you're pitching, obviously it's very important that they can convey this to you and communicate clearly. So that will be weighted as well. For you, all we're asking you to do is score between 2 to 5 at the end. And this is why it's important. 1, ostensibly, it's because you are a third of the vote today. The winner of these 3 companies today will progress to the big stage tomorrow. Well, we'll be back on the big stage and they'll be pitching again. So if you want to see a company tomorrow, or you just work for the company, vote for them, and hopefully we'll get them on the big stage tomorrow. Now, number 2, and this is where you got to go back to economics class, there's a little bit of game theory going on, because there ought to be 3 companies on the big stage tomorrow. And what they're going to do is later today, when they tally up the vote from this room, and the rat bastards who are next door that we're competing against, yeah, exactly. Hey, yell! Right. The company that has the 3rd highest score overall is also going to progress to the stage next door. So you guys are all very educated folks. You guys know how this works, right? The higher the score we can give to the number 2 company in this room, the higher likeliness that they will actually show up on the big stage tomorrow. So hopefully it's clear to everybody, right? Have some coffee, get ready to vote. Vote strong, though, because it's going to matter. That number 2 vote is going to matter a lot if we can beat the rat bastards next door. Not to disparage them. All right, good. So guys, I'm not going to bother introducing you. You guys, they can look you guys up on the app. So let's get started. So CarCutter. Yep. Jason?
Yeah.
It's very nice to meet you.
You as well.
No pressure at all.
No, we're good.
These guys are going to try to nail you with questions, not literally. So we got a 3-minute pitch. The mechanics is 3-minute pitch, followed by 7 minutes from our 2 esteemed judges. And then we're going to pause for a minute. They're going to vote, and we're going to ask you guys to vote. And then mechanically, you guys don't have cards to hold up. How are we going to get their votes up here? Somebody help me.
Just hold up fingers.
Are they just going to holler? Well, you guys can use decimals. It could be hard with fingers. Yeah.
That's a lot of math, Steve.
There we go. We got the boards. Yeah.
Very nice.
Awesome. You're a good man. Oh, we got 4. Okay, cool. All right. They'll be last with a strong finish. All right. Here's your clicker.
There we go. Perfect.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
You got enough caffeine in your system?
So you came in from Amsterdam. I'm actually based in Paris, France, where our
Woo!
head office is. So
There you go.
I'm going on the other end. It's rounding out the evening for me.
Okay, we were
So
almost
we're
on the
not-
same
We're
flight.
not fully
probably.
adjusted to the time, but up since 3 in the morning local time.
Oh, shit.
But it'll get there.
We'll,
Caffeine's a good-
we'll take it easy on you.
Exactly,
We'll
we'll go with that.
So take a deep breath. You got 3 minutes whenever you're ready, and then we go into questions.
Sounds good. So I'm going to start this off by drawing a parallel to kind of the overwhelming theme of ASOTU CON, which is love people more than cars. And I'm going to use that as a kind of a line to talk about what CarCutter does. And there's a really big thing with respect to loving people more than cars. And that can be applied in the sense of how a lot of people meet today. And a lot of people meet today online through dating apps. And there is one absolutely essential thing when we're talking about online dating, and that's first impressions matter. And my theory and my understanding of this is first impressions matter when you're looking for a partner online, and first impressions really matter when you're looking at cars online. Because the two things that happen when we're looking for cars online is really similar to the main thing that happens when you're looking for a person online. When you're looking at a car online, when you're looking at a person online, I think we can all be honest, we don't dive into the bios. We're not reading that they love long walks on the beach, they love pina coladas. We're looking for a first impression, and that first impression needs impact. And impact being the driver of what we're doing. If you miss the impact, online dating, if you miss the potential for the impact with the product you're putting out through automotive, you're doing yourself the biggest disservice. We've all downloaded apps that don't work. We know how long they last on our phone. We've all scrolled on the internet. If we don't see what we want, if we don't see what we like, we don't go further. And that's where CarCutter comes in. So 90% of car buying research is done before you visit a showroom. Therefore, it's done online. And there's that opportunity to make a connection really, really quickly. And it's something that dealerships surprisingly don't spend a lot of time on. So if you're picking a profile picture for yourself, if you're putting yourself out there online as a product, you spend time finding the right picture. You want to tell the right story. You want that message to carry to people who are only going to be looking at it for a few seconds. More often than not, we see what's going on my left-hand side. We see really busy pictures. We see pictures that don't tell the story that you're looking at. We see pictures with distractions, with noise in the background. And those things take away from the central product. They take away from what you're trying to show. And so what we do at CarCutter is we improve the process and the output of vehicle photography through API connections and through apps. So what we do is we bring a process to the dealership that allows them to scale, to move very quickly, and to get the best output, the best product online, to get in front of the most eyes, and to make that connection really quick. Once the connection's there, it's the dealer's job to convert. So without CarCutter, what you often see is very busy websites that lack uniformity, that lack impact, that show the wrong side of you, the wrong side of your inventory. And it's a huge missed opportunity. And it's really a problem to not capitalize on that. So what we do through AI, we're an AI company that works in a number of different fields, and particularly with photography on automotive, we streamline your process. So we allow you to take pictures really quickly.
You're at 3 minutes.
Am I really? All right, I thought it was at 2:30.
All right. Cool. Great. Maybe next time I'll run this up here, but thank you, Nathan. I appreciate that. All right, great. You can sit, you can stand, whatever you're more comfortable with. Mr. Parisman.
Awesome. Very nicely done. Let's have a little bit of applause. All right, sharks. Have at it. We've got 7 minutes, and I'll do the time. So go ahead.
All right, first of all, great job. That was a really good delivery. So lots of questions. First one, what types of integrations do you have set up with vehicle management tools like a vAuto or an AutoVision, something like that?
Yeah, that's actually an essential part of us because getting the pictures to those partners, and we have a special partnership group in the US that works on that. So we're in with the vast majority of IMS, DMS players that allow us, the vAutos and the home nets and all that.
Okay, how quick do those get uploaded?
So we get the pictures to those systems in about 30 seconds. The big game comes when do they get online. So that's a big piece for us of having really strong partnerships with those groups because the cut of the vehicle is in less than 2 seconds, and then that product goes to their queue. the big piece is having a good communication with them to get those online really quickly.
Hey, great job. Let me just start off by saying, as someone who's been in your shoes before, having to tell people what you do, it's not easy to do, and I commend you guys for that first and foremost. I always take a look at these things as someone who's probably failed more than I've succeeded, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were with a small company called Roadster back in the day, and it did quite well. But one of the things that we did really well, and I want to impart this and ask these questions, is how do we simplify what you do so that the dealers that are walking through this hall who are getting bombarded by a bunch of stuff can walk away really quick with that's exactly what they do.
Yep.
And so I'm going to pose my questions around that, right? If I'm a dealer, I'm seeing what I just saw from you thinking, hey, there's Spin Car. There's a lot of photo uploading apps. How do you simply differentiate yourself from the ones that already exist? While I do believe that a lot of dealer websites look like ransom notes.
Yeah.
And the more you simplify them, the easier it is for people to absorb it. But what is your differentiation between, to be fair, probably the other 5 ones that exist?
Absolutely. No, really, really good question. And unfortunately, I missed my timing, and that was that last slide, is while our output, and what I like to say is we have kind of a eureka moment, is once we get it in the hands of a dealership, once they've used it, once they see the speed of it, they have that moment of they see the problem, they see how to solve it. But where we are when you peel back the layer of that impact of that output is we're a process company. So we're a part of a company called Miro. And Miro does this for real estate. We do it for fashion and e-commerce. I mean, we do Levi's globally. We do Louis Vuitton. We do tons of things. And so we have a bunch of different hardcore process people behind us to say, okay, how do you actually take this? Because giving somebody an app that takes a picture, that's great. But if it's not a clean process in terms of integration, in terms of usability, in terms of UX, it's not going to get you where you need to go. So what we try to do is nail the process, because getting the picture online, if you don't do that, then nothing else matters. But once you do that, we have dealerships that work within our group in Europe in particular who measured us against their past systems of inefficiency. So the time it takes to collect the information, to get out figure out where the car is, to shoot the car, to get that car online. And we've measured in a couple of these large groups, particularly in Germany, where we're very, very strong, annualized savings of 500,000 euros plus because of that process impact. And so again, we talk a lot about the product because the output is really clean and it's impactful. And I think that's the big differentiator, is we come at this as a process company that has a really solid output rather than a picture company that makes something look nice.
The second question I'll ask you, sorry, I'm going to jump in again one more. What is it you're selling? Is it an app? Is it software? Are there booths? Are you somebody coming there physically and taking pictures? I think, again, I always just revert back to the litmus test, which is my 7-year-old. What are you giving to me for my money?
Yeah, fantastic question. So we have 2 kind of paths to market. We can equip a dealership with an app that requires nothing else than the downloading of that application, and you're up and running. We also have, for groups like AutoNation, we've worked with for the last 5 years, an API solution where their lot service providers send us the entire file of images on a daily basis. We cut them and send them back to their IMSs. So again, the process adapts to the needs of the client. We're not coming out with you with one way of doing things. We have a couple different paths to impact. The app being the way to best control the input. Through the app, the 7-year-old test, you can't take a bad picture with our app because the guidelines based on AI make that virtually impossible. The API is the high-level scalability piece for marketplaces and things like that, where they don't control where the pictures are coming from and how they're taken, but they need to have a uniform and clean outlook.
Thank you.
Good. So you mentioned the, what did you say, 500,000 euros in savings?
Yep.
Is that based on time?
That is, yeah, it's essentially based on time. They did a really fantastic study that we've been able to duplicate with a number of other groups, and they said, we'll give somebody the order to go out, take a picture the way they did it before. They'd walk to the lot, figure out where the car is, pull it out, take it to the place where they're going to shoot it, do the shot, kind of set it all up, bring the car back. Whereas now what they do is they go to where the car is, they pull it out a few feet from the spot, they do the entire process. As you saw from that image, it doesn't matter what's going on in the background. There can be people, there can be noise, there can be anything. and it's taken care of. So the average shooting process for a full car of 15 images is 6 minutes and 45 seconds with them from start to finish.
That's great. That's great. So what about on the other end? Do you see higher conversions with your pictures versus standard pictures or another provider's pictures?
Absolutely. We really drive a pretty significant boost in click rates. This came to us from our partners, Koons, who see upwards of 50% click rates when they do A/B testing.
Got 1 minute left.
Yep. From what the image looks like in that one slide I showed that had that kind of really dirty page to something. And what we see is when the car becomes the focus, people go into detail with it. And they don't scroll as much. And we all know the problems of scrolling today is you can waste so much time just kind of banging through things. But when you see something that's clean, your focus gets driven to it, and you really can spend a lot more time understanding the product.
Got time for one more question.
Yeah, I mean, does anybody in the audience want to yell something at us that they're thinking about?
Something nice if you're yelling. Yeah. We cut inside and outside, and we have a really nice feature where if you do kind of a bespoke background or a background that has something going on in the back for us, we'll cut through the window and reproduce that background so you don't kind of have that white fuzz. The idea is not to essentially trick anybody to be like, oh, they're definitely in a booth or something like that, but it's to keep the focus on the product and not get them distracted by everything going on.
All right, good times, good times. All right, good. Round of applause, round of applause. Jason,
thank you.
Very nicely done. Very nicely done. Okay, so we will ask the judges to spend a couple of minutes here. They get the benefit, as I said earlier, of voting with fractions. You do not. I would ask you now to go to your app while it's fresh in your mind. Remember that not that this can necessarily influences you, but the judges are voting across effectively 4 elements of their sort of like scoring rubric. 1 being innovation and uniqueness, 2 being market impact and adoption potential, 3 being customer value and satisfaction, and 4 being clarity and completeness of the product vision. So get in your app, score. It's going to ask you to score between 2 to 5. I know it's really hard being the first guy, Jason, so thank you for doing that. It's great because we can't calibrate you yet against the other presenters. So we are kind of like flying blind at this point, but we're going to ask these guys to score. If you want that to influence your score, great. If you guys just want to go ahead and score now, but we do need your score. And for those that came in late, there's a bit of, sorry to repeat myself, but I will repeat myself as I'm prone to do. In the next door, they're running a similar session with 4 companies, and the best company, the winner from each room, will progress to the main stage tomorrow. But there's a wild card spot, and there will be a 3rd company invited to present on the main stage tomorrow, and that will be purely on the score. You, the audience, comprise 1/3 of the score today. Our judges each a third each. So we were counting on you to juice the results for the number 2 company in here, so they have a good, strong chance of showing up on the main stage tomorrow. Ready, guys? Hard?
Yes, sir.
Hopefully you didn't collude too much behind the scenes.
No.
It's like the Olympics, right? These judges can't be trusted.
No, I think, to your point, Steve, I think we should talk about why we gave the score, obviously.
Well, okay, sure. If you were a country at the Olympics, which country would you be?
United States.
USA.
These guys are not creative. Get them some coffee, man.
You think he might be from Canada?
Yeah. Canada would be good. There you go. All right. Go ahead. Give us a score. Flip it. Ready? 3, 2, 1, show. Reveal. All right. Go ahead. Really quickly, though, because we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, my score is based on the clarity of the product, how quickly they got to the value propositions, and how it compares against the ecosystem, and then also specifically talking about how they save money.
Cool. Greg?
Very good. Really value-add differentiation, and I'd like to see, I guess, more detail on the results driven by the product. But overall, great presentation, great job.
Okay, cool, great. One last round of applause for Jason. Thank you, great work. All right, very cool. Who do we want next? Nathan, Automotive Mastermind, or are we going to do SpaceAuto? Okay, SpaceAuto, come on up. Here we go, yeah, baby. All right. How's everybody feeling?
Really good.
You guys are an enthusiastic audience. This is great. Yeah. I'm glad you're all hyped up on this Wednesday morning.
Hey,
Yeah.
how are you? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Great.
All right, Nick, you know how it goes. I'll be better with a timer. Sorry to Jason earlier for not being, watchful of this. I will start my stopwatch.
Before you start your stopwatch, could I get the clicker?
You can have the click. Oh, you can negotiate.
Time is money.
I thought you were going to go without. Anything you want to say before we start? Don't start pitching, or I'm
I
gonna
don't know. No, we're apparently all European today. I'm originally from England. Didn't get on the plane last night, but I guess I'm still in that time zone as well. So just be graceful.
So whenever you're ready, take a deep breath, and we'll get started.
All right.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Here we go. It's all yours.
Hi, I am Nick Askew. I am CEO of SpaceAuto. We are solving a very specific problem. If anybody recognizes this kind of Frankenstein approach, dealerships today are forced to be able to put all of their pieces of software together. If you get a website, you have to have retargeting tools. You have to get, something for trade appraisals. You have to get something for your credit application. And dealerships constantly are forced to put different solutions together that may not work for your customer's benefit. So if you have been confused by arbitrary metrics, if you've been misled by vendors, if you've been confined to certain programs, if you've been bombarded by other vendors trying to sell you a magic bullet and then paralyzed with decision making, if this feels like you, then you need to be looking at combining those solutions to create one unified customer experience. If your website is out there, it needs to be your best salesperson. Most of your customers start online, and instead of bombarding them with endless widgets, I always ask this question: why shouldn't your website platform come with all those features to begin with? Why? Why should we have to have the countless plugins for retargeting, for trade appraisals, for credit applications, for images, for AI vehicle descriptions? Your website should just come with this naturally. Your digital retail should not be a plugin. It should be a endless experience of customers going through the process, getting as deep in the process as possible, giving real-time payments, real-time taxes, real-time lenders, real-time trade evaluations, and it should not be a plugin. It should be this easy. And by the way, only 8% of customers in the study done last year actually go through the entire digital retailing experience online. So why shouldn't that go all the way through to your desking? No matter how a customer wants to buy a car, we should be able to facilitate that. I don't care if you're a dealer doing digital retailing and you're taking a small independent dealer and becoming Carvana, or someone wants to do all of the dirty work online and save a few hours of the dealership and go and feel the wheel, seal the deal, get in there in the car. Or if you're that dealer that wants to print out a Foursquare and work papers with that because you love the smell of a green Sharpie, we shouldn't be able to tell the dealership how to sell a car. We should
30
give
seconds
them
left.
all the tools to be able to do so. These are the kind of things that give us an increase in 174% VDP views, 10.3 minutes time spent on site with digital retail, and ultimately convert those leads into sales at a 22% rate. Dealers deserve transparent pricing, not increasing pricing as they use more of the product. SpaceAuto exists to challenge normal and change the dynamic, allowing us to
All right,
be
nice.
human again.
Round of
All
applause.
right. That's a quick 3
Nice work.
minutes.
The UK man pulls it out, gets through all the slides. All right, cool. Take a deep breath. Very nicely done.
All right. Thank you very
You
much.
obviously got well caffeinated this morning, so appreciate that very much. Guys, I'm going to, Greg, allow you go, 'cause since Amit monopolized all the questions last time,
did.
we'll let Greg go first.
Well, first, Nick, I got to say I really appreciate your marketing and what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
I like your testimonials that you do. A little different take on things, so I do appreciate everything you're doing. That's great. First question. So mine is really about you talked about the retail experience and really how does that carry from online to in store? Obviously, and thinking about the transaction itself. The deal has to get a lot of different places for it to happen. So how do you handle that?
Well, we handle that in a number of ways. A customer comes online and we're anonymously tracking them regardless. We combine that information when a customer finally submits a lead. So now we know who you are. We know what you've looked at. We know your browsing data. We actually have a lot of different data partnerships, including Equifax directly, that start to build a financial profile on the customer. We then link with such companies like MarketScan and S&P to be able to automatically create that deal. And what we're really trying to do is shorten the window of time it actually takes to be able to put a deal together. So we can tell, and especially using our AI model, we can tell you automatically what your trade's worth, what financial profile, what lenders are going to pick you up, and then that now will automatically populate your digital desking to where the dealers don't actually have to load that themselves. So we're all about just anticipating the next step and pre-populating that information.
That's great. Can I do a follow-up? All right. So, you think about the devil's in the details when you're putting together a deal, right?
Yeah.
So how do you handle taxes and fees, and what's your relationship like with forms to kind of populate those and ultimately sign them?
Yeah, so customers can upload their own custom forms, and we can work with any dealer there to do that. But we actually get municipality information done by their address and their zip code. If you live in Louisiana, sometimes you might have a different tax rate as your next door neighbor. So we update that every single day with the latest tax information, and we pre-populate the taxes, the fees, allow dealer to put their own doc fees and everything in there, so we can put a fully fledged deal together, so we know how to create the whole deal folder.
Good.
Yeah, props on the brand perspective. I think it was fun, it was digestible, it was easy to follow. That's really important, right? Because again, it's really noisy otherwise. How much does it cost?
How much does it cost? Okay, so it's $12.95 for a website, $12.95 for digital retailing, and then our Space app is actually free for anybody that has one of our applications. We also have we can assist with a couple of other items as well if a customer wants any marketing, any SEO as top of the funnel. But quite frankly, we're really transparent about our pricing, and our whole model is making that kind of thing accessible to even independent dealers that want to compete in the market, because they get ignored a lot in the market. And because we're all built on one database, on one cloud infrastructure, we're able to get it that cost effective.
No, it's important. We're telling dealers to be transparent, but if we're not transparent,
exactly,
we're hypocrites, right? Last thing I'll say, tell me a little bit about post-sale support.
Post-sale support for us with dealers, or?
Yes, I'm a dealer. I want to buy your tech. What do I do now? How does this work?
Oh, you're just on your own. No, that's
perfect.
No, so we actually
model.
have a client success team that will help you through setup. We do hypercare immediately after to make sure that the dealers are using that. And then they are given one single point of contact as well that they can call, text, email to ensure that they actually have performance out of the system, whether that's setting up AI automations, whether that's creating their deals and putting in new ways to convert, creating retargeting ads on their website, however that may be. It's our job not to just sell them the software, but to increase their performance through either traffic, conversion, or sales.
Have you been able to set up, and I'm hoping the answer is yes, I'm guessing the answer is yes, integrations into all the DMSs in the US? So you think about the deal that you structure online. A common concern, at least, is okay. Then I got to rekey everything back into the DMS to get the deal done and send it off for funding.
Yeah, we actually have a term internally regarding just reducing the amount of duplicate data, because you end up paying a sales manager of $250,000 to be data entry, right? So we never want someone to have to put that information in again. So whether it's us feeding from inventory management systems or pushing those deals to the DMS like DealerTrack, if we have the data and you have the partner, we want to make that as seamless as possible. So we do, yes, integrate with the DMS.
Very good.
The last thing I'll say is a lot of times dealers are shy about new website vendors because of the co-ops and the OEM certifications. Do you guys have a path to that, or have you already started to get to a place where you're certified by more than the OEMs?
Yeah, we have
You've got 2 minutes.
Yeah, we have a path for that, right? We're in all honesty, we're the disruptors right now. We're the little guy trying to get at the Shift Digitals of the world to listen to us. We have been really lucky to get on board with some companies like Nissan and Kia. And just very recently, we became partners with the BMW Southern region that actually will co-op and pay 50% of our costs. So it's a quite honestly, it is a hard job for a company like us to be able to get down there, but we can continue to show performance and we can continue to be relentless and help dealers in the fashion that we do. we're on our way and we're ticking those OEMs off as quickly as possible.
I'll say this from experience, just like you, and we're all here to learn too. That is the path, right? You don't go knock on the door in Plano, Texas. You go down to the dealership there and then make sure that that dealership knocks on the door for Plano, Texas for you guys.
Oh, yeah. We have quite a few dealers that say, you know what? To hell with the OEM programs. We want the competitive edge. And those kind of disruptors are the people that are in our back pocket, and they're the ones that help change the dynamic of the industry.
Fair enough.
Anything from the audience?
What do you see for site speeds versus competitors?
Site speeds versus competitors. So we're actually fully all the hard stuff is on the cloud, and we actually just API it directly. So we're basically headless. So our inventory load speeds are less than 100 milliseconds, and we had that goal in mind because to the human brain, less than 100 milliseconds is instantaneous. We actually stole that from Amazon, where we stole some of our developers too. And so because we do that asynchronous with the cloud, we were able to achieve that.
I don't understand why you couldn't get it faster.
I'm trying every day.
All right, we got 3, 2, 1. Great. Nice work. Round
Thank
of
you.
applause.
Great job.
Nice work, Nick. Very nicely done. Okay, so for those that are new, I think everybody was in here, but I'm sorry to belabor this, but we really need your score. You're going to be 1/3 of the score for each of the companies today. We're going to ask our judges here to provide a vote. So if you haven't done so, please go to the app, go to our session. In the lower left-hand corner, I believe, is it a poll button? Is that what it is? Okay, poll, and give Nick a score, Nick from SpaceAuto a score, because it does matter. And we will ask our judges here to do a reveal here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reveal. I think there's collusion going on.
And we did not look at each other.
I wrote it out first, FYI.
Yeah.
Did you?
All right,
Did,
so
yeah.
just really short. Go ahead.
So I think a really robust product and a strong product. Only downfalls I think are going to be the OEM integrations that you brought up, which are great, and also differentiation in the marketplace. It's a crowded marketplace, so best of luck. It seems like a great product.
Yeah, I echo that. I mean, it's a crowded space. You're pushing the rock uphill. But to be fair, if you can differentiate yourself from a brand and a support standpoint, which is huge, right? Every single car dealer has a website. Some of them sell 10,000 cars, some sell 100. So it's really about support and process. So I'm glad he touched on that.
All right, good times. How's everybody doing? Got your score? Get your score. It's important. We need it. All right, cool. Who's up now? Next. Upstart. We should have like walk-on music for everybody, no? I mean, I know you need some walk-on music. Yeah.
What would your song be?
How's it going, Gary?
Like an AC/DC type of thing.
There you go.
Feels nice to use it.
All right, Gary, take a deep breath. Whenever you're ready, we can get started, and make sure we get you queued up. Can we get his deck queued up here? You can make small talk or dance or something in the meantime if you want. You got free airtime. Use the free airtime if you get it. We're waiting for your deck here. Okay, well, there we are. So, Gary, whenever you're ready, you can get started.
All right. Lights. Sorry, just leave it. Okay, ready? Yep. Let's start with some data. In 2018, 92% of customers started their car buying journey online, and it took 187 minutes to complete the transaction in the dealership. Fast forward to 2023, 92% of customers started their deal online, and now it took 177 minutes to complete a transaction. We've only moved the needle 10%. I think it's because we didn't focus on the real issues that are out there. Consumers want an easier way to buy a car, and dealers struggle to deliver that. Upstart solves for this by combining online, in-store, and lending into one omni-channel experience that our dealers tell us cuts the time to buy a car in half. Also, we provide them access to more affordable credit, which means they're able to sell more cars. So let's take a deep dive into how this works. Everything starts online. So the customer, when he comes online, is presented with a dealer-defined road to sale. Here he can look at his ownership options. He can go for the trade-in. He can look at protection plans and accessories. And he can also submit credit. And he can also receive financing offers from dealer-approved lenders. Okay? From here, when the customer is done with this moves seamlessly into the in-store experience. So prior to the customer arriving, the salespeople can educate themselves on what the customer did and be prepared for when they come into the store or if they decide to work them remotely. So when the customer comes in, all they have to do is confirm and continue down the process. Now, should there be some negotiation needed, this can electronically move over to the sales desk. And here, the salesperson doesn't have to leave the customer. The desk manager can work the deal, push it back to the salesman. He can send back multiple scenarios if they're trying to work through some different circumstances. But if the customer agrees, then it's easy from here. It just moves over to F&I. Now, unlike the traditional lenders out there who use a FICO score, which is an outdated process to determine if someone is approved or denied, Upstart uses AI-powered decisioning tools via a soft pull.
1 minute remaining.
That allows us to look at that customer and determine their ability to pay and rank them by that. This is all delivered in one screen. And what's great about this, and our dealers love it, is all your terms and conditions are right here. There's no rehashing, no calling back to bank. New car terms up to 84 months, used car terms up to 75, LTVs up to 185%, flat fees displayed here, paid on the total amount financed. So everything you need is right here, and you can access Route 1 and DealerTrack if you need to bring another lender in to get a comparison.
30 seconds.
So once it's done here, we have the ability to bring all your docs and contract the customer, which I'm missing a slide. He confirms, and off they go. Upstart, loving cars more than people, or loving people more than cars.
Woo! That's a reversal right there. Good. Sorry, too much pressure. It
is
look at
not
this.
easy
He's
to
still
be
got
up
9
here.
seconds left. That's awesome. Great. So we'll give you a few extra minutes or a few extra seconds for questions. So
Just redo the ending.
you could redo the ending. Go ahead. You want the last 15 seconds back? Yeah.
Loving people more than cars.
There we go.
There you go.
Woo! All right, good. Judges, you have 7 minutes.
How about it?
I'm going to say this. Take me back just a second. I think a lot of the times some of the struggles as a dealer is setting the table with what it is you do, right? It's that office space moment, right? So help me. If you categorize yourself, if you had to force yourself into a category in the automotive ecosystem like his charts look like, where are you? Are you an F&I tool? Are you a digital retailing tool? Are you a website? Because I've heard of Upstart, but I'm trying to position you guys exactly where I'm at.
Yeah, and I try to stay away from the digital retailing term just because what does that mean? You know, it's not digital, it's retailing. Okay, what we do is we provide an easy way for consumers to buy a car within one solution to eliminate the disconnects and the obstacles that get in the way of, you know, a smooth, more modern transaction. We are a lender at heart, so we do bring lending into the factor because we think that lending is a missed opportunity. There's a stat out there that we talked about that 80% of Americans have never defaulted on a credit product, but only 47% have access to prime credit. And that just doesn't seem right. So we look at the person, not the vehicle. We look at how we can allow them to buy the car and make the payments as opposed to conditioning them to where they right out of affording it. So we're a little bit of both. We cover the full online, in-store, and lending piece. Again, just to remove the disconnects of all the different solutions out there.
Fair enough.
So when you think about being a lender, what's the ideal, or I guess who are you the ideal vendor for? When I think about dealerships, there's so many relationships with lenders across the board, and a lot of dealers want to maintain those relationships. So who are you the ideal vendor for?
Sure. So again, we're never going to replace the captives, obviously.
Right.
Our sweet spot when we look at our dealers that are on our platform, we have dealer groups on there. We have single rooftops and multiple rooftops type of groups. Our demographic really falls into used cars.
Okay.
I'd say that 4-year-old car, 60 to 80,000 miles. Because we extend terms out to 75 months, we increase the affordability for those cars. And again, it's really looking at the person. It's not so much about the car. We leave that room to be able to put those protection plans in there, so we're reassuring that car is going to continue to go for the period of time that we're going for. But those longer terms, those aggressive rates, I think that's our market. But we've been in the upper 5s and we've been in the low 8s. We've been competitive wherever we go.
Do you skew towards franchise dealers or towards independents?
Yeah, well, right now we're skewed more toward franchise, but obviously we're looking at those independents. Coming out of COVID, anybody that's left selling used cars independently is a good operator and probably has access to vehicles and customers, loyal customer base. So we don't want to ignore those either.
What percentage of your dealers, of your customers, are using you for lending versus hooking up DealerTrack or Route 1?
Well, our lending is inherent to our in-store platform.
Sure.
So we do that internally. We access Route 1 and DealerTrack so they can bring in their other preferred lenders to get a side-by-side. And we're working with Route 1 and DealerTrack on some other integrations and partnerships as well. But that's how the platform is set up today.
Yeah, but most of them will look at every deal side by side. They'll pull in banks from Route 1 and DealerTrack.
Yeah, they're usually going to bring a side by side. Our strength is that we are less than 30 seconds. That approval's right back there in front of the. And what that does is it gives them the opportunity to understand where they're at. And so when they get these other callbacks, they can say, this is still a better deal for us, or the Upstart loan is making us more money. It's a better deal for the customer, and they choose where they go from there.
How much does it cost? How do you charge?
We charge monthly. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. If you just want the online piece, because you're already married to something internally, it's $6.99 for the tool online. If you want to combine online, in-store, and get the lending aspect of it, that's $8.99. That's out the door, and that's a month-to-month agreement.
Is there any technology or tool that gets replaced by adding this cost or this service into my dealership?
Well, again, if you're paying for desking, if you're not, again, a lot of people desk out of their CRM. Why? I don't know. They just took advantage of a situation because CRM is CRM. But if you can make your way past that, you can eliminate the price for a desking tool. You're obviously, we can help leverage some of the other CTAs and create less confusion by directing them into the DR tool, which I think makes sense. If you're going to be on a website and you want to get a trade, put them in your DR tool. Get them in that sales process to get more information. Because once we get them in there, dealers find them to be more qualified. They have more information on them. They got an idea where they're going. And so...
2 minutes remaining.
Yeah, we work to try to push them into the tool.
How does it function on the website? Is it a frame-in? Is it a separate site that they'll go to?
No, it's a frame-in, so we don't take you off the site. Good. And again, we're device agnostic, so a dealership doesn't have to go out and invest in tablets. If they still want to use desktops, they can use mobile devices as well. So we're not going to, pigeonhole you into using a certain type of tech stack.
Audience, anybody got a question? Yes, sir.
I'm from Maryland, and there are laws and regulations in different states on who can do lending and can't. Are you certified in all 50 states?
Not all. We're just about there, but not all 50. No, I think Maryland we're good. Don, Maryland we're good though. Yeah, but yeah, that's a process. So by beginning of Q3, everything should be wrapped up. Only one question. You can't get two.
Go ahead.
Do you guys do the lending piece alone for the dealership to do it in store compared to the store? Is it strictly just a platform?
The question was, can we do the lending in store as well? Not at this time. Not at this time. We're looking into options around that, but not at this time. And again, just for clarity to your question earlier, this is an in-store tool as well. So if someone walked in off the street, they can jump right into Upstart. They can start desking a deal. They can put the multiple scenarios out there, access the lending.
30 seconds.
So it's not just, it doesn't have to start online. So this can be an in-store tool as well.
I do have one more. What's your typical funding time?
24 hours.
24 hours,
Yep.
okay. Go ahead, you got time for your question.
One thing you mentioned was a dealer-defined kind of process. And I think that's a big kind of problem with customers because they want to go ahead and work through tools or whatever it is, not on stuff that we define, but maybe the way that they want to define. How open is your tool on the
Time.
Sorry.
Can you catch him afterwards and ask him?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I
Awesome.
can get you an answer on that.
Yeah, what's your name? Shane. Okay, Shane,
Thanks,
Gary,
guys.
there you go.
Nice job.
Nice
Thank
work,
you,
Gary.
appreciate it.
Round of applause for Gary. How's everyone feeling? We're almost there. Almost there. I guess we're almost at lunch probably as well, right? So, all right, cool. So we need your score. So get in the app, go lower left-hand corner, hit the poll button, give us a score for Gary and Upstart, and then we'll ask our judges to contemplate life up here and think about sort of what their score is going to be. I wonder if judges get more or less generous as the caffeine wears out and they get closer to lunch and they don't have enough blood sugar. I would guess probably the scores go down, but I don't know. We'll see if they get more generous. Ooh, maybe not so generous. All right, cool. Ready for the reveal? 3, 2, 1, reveal. Ouchies. All right, guys, give it a little bit of context, please.
I think for me, it comes down to crystallizing the message of exactly what is being provided if there's any replacement, and how do you eliminate going from 29 vendors at a dealership maybe down to 27 or 26?
Yeah, and I think it's a great idea and a great concept. As a lender, I think you're limited on what you're going to displace. So finding really that niche of what's your target audience, who are you going after, and making sure that you can hone that message in on who that customer is and what their need is will be really impactful. But it seems like a great product. I think just really dialing in who that customer that you're selling to is will be really beneficial.
Cool. All right, let's humanize the judges a little bit. All right, we'll go off script. So Amit, tell us a little bit about sort of what you're currently working on.
Yeah, currently I'm at a niche company in the automotive space. We simplify the import-export industry from the U.S. and Canada.
Cars, importing drugs?
Importing drugs, cars, kids.
Ooh, ouch, don't go there. Let's retract that statement.
Too human?
Cameras off on that one.
Too human? No. To the industry of exporting cars from Canada into the United States basically was handled on spreadsheets, sticky notes, and WhatsApp. And we created an operating system to simplify it for all the different stakeholders. And I joined a couple months ago as the CCO, but my background's essentially worked for OEMs for 15 years and then been involved in a couple startups.
And if the audience wants to get in contact with you because of your handsome looks, how can they get in
That is not why anyone has ever gotten in contact with me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I'm on LinkedIn. If you just look up Amit Chandarana on LinkedIn, you'll be able to get a hold of me.
Great.
Thanks, Steve.
Awesome. Cool. Greg, same from you, please.
I'm at Reynolds and Reynolds, so not quite as niche. But I love this because we have our hands in so many different things across the industry. Getting to hear different perspectives is really outstanding. So appreciate everybody that's taken part in this.
Cool. That's great. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
You've been good sports so far. We'll see how this last one holds out. And thanks for all of you for sticking around because your scores absolutely do matter. Okay, so last but definitely not least, Automotive Mastermind.
I think we need to clap,
Round of
yeah.
applause, round of applause. Yeah. Awesome.
Good to see you again.
Thanks for joining us. You've got 3 minutes whenever you're ready to start. You got your clicker, and we'll make sure your deck
Make sure
gets
I
up
know
here.
how it works first here.
Just hang on. Wait until the deck gets up here. They're furiously swapping things. Does that look good?
Looks good to me.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
I'm going to go back one. I don't have time to introduce myself. Silly pictures of me. I hope to connect and collaborate, learn from as many people as I can. I'm a fun guy. Come talk to me after the pitch here. Mastermind's core value statement is that we are automotive industry's trusted data and technology provider. We transform data and technology into actionable insights. What does that mean in terms of deliverables? When dealers look at their customer base, people they want to engage with, in order for that data to be actionable, it has to be accurate, it has to be relevant, and that's really where Mastermind differentiates ourselves against some of the competition. The way that we do this is through something called behavior prediction scoring, or BPS. This is able to answer 4 key questions for our dealer partners. Number 1, who's likely to be in market? The higher the score, the more likely, right? Also, when that customer's in market. And that's the predictive capacity of this. And this is really where a lot of the outcomes in terms of increased profitability, increased customer loyalty, better customer engagement, customer experience come from, is understanding and be able to predict a future purchase. Not to wait for that customer to come into the market, but understand that this is a potential opportunity 3, 6, 9 months down the road so that you can control that conversation, protect your profitability, and again, create that white glove service for the customer. The reason we're able to do that is that we're part of a large data organization in S&P Mobility. It was mentioned by one of the previous presenters. MarketScan is a part of that in terms of deal calc. But primarily, the real critical thing is most dealerships look at their customers in a static form. They look at the car they're currently driving, the payment of that car, the way that that deal was structured. In today's environment, we've had so much migration from lease to finance, back and forth. There's been a chaotic inventory situation. So the customer current situation is no longer predictive of the next purchase. And that's where the historical registration data comes into play. Understanding what that customer's done in the past, household information, understand what other cars are in the driveway
1 minute remaining.
and what they're likely to do, and current servicing records, accident information, financial and demographic information to really be able to understand what that customer is going to do next. we convert that into a variety of endpoints. First of all, automated marketing that understands what vehicles the customer is likely to be interested in, how they're likely to structure that deal, and creates a really natural and personalized engagement for that customer. We can blow that out to a lot of different audiences: conquest audience, sales audiences, service audiences,
30
a variety
seconds.
of different looks. We have a user interface that allows an individual user not only to understand what that customer is likely to do, but give them influential talking points to really convert on a sale or an appointment, et cetera. And that household level registration data will allow you to optimize your digital spend so that you know what that total audience is before you create that digital ad. We have a promo, come talk to me, like I said, first month off, first month free, and we have special rates for ASOTU CON. So please, if this is of interest, come talk to me at the show.
Good work. Round of applause. Round of applause. Whoa, we've got a cheering section up here. Very nice.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Nice work.
Appreciate it.
Have a seat. Take
Thank
a deep
you.
breath. And
3 minutes is fast, man.
3 minutes is fast, but you
It
did
is
perfect.
really
Perfect.
fast.
You got
So
through the
short.
slides. There was good pacing. We know a little bit more about your propensity to eat oranges. And all right.
Nectarine. I wasn't stealing from my
nectarine.
child. I was sharing.
All right, well, there you go. All right, whenever you guys are ready, fire away.
I want you to go because I want to hear the answer to your question about what is it that you do here.
I know Automotive Mastermind. I think most people in here know what Automotive Mastermind, and even full disclosure, when we talked before, known it as a auto alert competitor, knew it as a equity mining tool.
Yep.
And so I always ask this question, like, how do you position yourself again, right?
Yeah.
Because you've gone through a lot over the last several years. How do you position Automotive Mastermind directly now?
Yeah, and so that's really what I was trying to focus in a short period of time on
Yep.
is, hey, these systems, an auto alert, for example, a CRM tool, an equity mining tool, et cetera, are looking at a customer from a very static, very narrow perspective. They're looking at either the transactions specific to that dealership, whether they're service or sales transactions, and most often the current car, the current payment. What we want to do is build a more complete profile for that customer that incorporates not only historical data, but real-time information, so that in the world that we're in, where customers are driving cars they didn't necessarily want to purchase, or bought a lease out, or did some things that make their current situation not predictive of the next purchase, that we can make that actionable for the dealership, that they can take action knowing with a good amount of accuracy what that person's likely to do, where they're currently living, what their situation is, what the other cars in the driveway are, that really drive the ability to convert, to engage, to do that, and the predictive nature of that, right? Being able to lower a payment or being in a good equity position is maybe an indication that the customer's currently shopping, but that doesn't allow the dealership to remain profitable, right? To hold some gross, to do a deal that's better for the dealership. It's really about getting ahead of that customer, engaging 3 or 4 months prior to them entering the market, and especially with your own customer base, providing that good customer experience of not being a fire sale, when the customer really needs the car now.
But my follow-on's real quick. Who's your ideal customer profile? Who's your target that you're selling to?
Any dealership that wants to improve their customer
Let me
loyalty.
be more specific. At the dealership.
General manager, sales manager, BDC manager, marketing director. A lot of conquest efforts can benefit from knowing who your customers are, so you know who your customers aren't. And so there's a variety of applications for this, but really any person or persona in the dealership that's trying to more effectively engage and communicate with the customer base.
Thank you.
Yep.
So there's a decent amount of players in this space,
Yep.
have been for a while. So I want to get into the nuts and bolts a little bit, right? How are you better? How are you different? So when you talk about predicting, what they're going to do next, how do you do that?
Early on, a lot of these technologies is basically a spreadsheet that's calculating equity against current programs and payments to say, hey, who can we trade keys with? What we're doing is more getting to the heart of buying cadences, buying behaviors, to really understand what that household is likely to do. And largely the way that we're doing that is in large data sets. It's a machine learning system, the BPS, that takes into account what lookalike profiles are doing, what that specific customer behavior is, For example, you may have a customer that you think is coming back around because they purchased a car from you 3 years ago, but we can see that they just traded the other car in the driveway, right? This is something a dealership in a CRM or an auto alert wouldn't have line of sight to. But that registration level data can say, hey, I know you were going to follow up with this customer, but you don't need to prioritize them because they replaced another vehicle in the garage or something like that. So it's really about optimization. It's about spending less on marketing to convert more, to not communicate needlessly to folks, and to actually know who you necessarily need to communicate with.
Can you talk a little bit more about lookalike audiences and what size you need to be able to make a prediction and what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So these things work well in large data sets. They also work best if you have a long time honing and fine tuning. So the fact that we've been working on BPS scoring system, everybody's got a score now, right? Ours is 10 years in, incorporating these type of data points, whether it's behavioral, registration, servicing data, all that kind of stuff. So the answer really is the larger the data set, the better. The longer you're looking at that, the better, which is why our relationship to Polk, the fact that I can go back to 1970 if I want to and look at every purchase a customer has made and the residents of a household have made, build out a really nice, robust profile.
So is there a target dealership or a geographic density, like a population density that is best for Automotive Mastermind?
Yeah, so you want to have a significant database, right? So you want to, mostly we look at a store that's been in business at least for 4 years, right? For a new point, some of the retention stuff is not going to be as impactful. But we do also have some really unique automations for a dealership trying to grow market share around customers who are servicing with your dealership that didn't buy that original car from you. Through some of the data points we talked about, we have really good trade line information that can fill in the gaps of what is this customer's current payment, what is their interest rate, even if that customer didn't buy from you. So there are applications for new dealerships, but primarily our bread and butter customer is somebody that has a large portfolio of customers, especially at the group level where you're saying, hey, I have a customer that's bought several cars from me, maybe from multiple different rooftops that I own. I have several customers that potentially live together. Mastermind is doing a lot of householding sort of data. So understanding that, rather than send 3 mail pieces at the same house, right, that people live together. So it really benefits the larger the project is, right? So if you have 20 dealerships, there's so much waste cost in marketing if you don't understand who your customers are, who your customers aren't, who lives together, right? All of these things that can really optimize that
1 minute remaining.
How much does it cost?
Matters what you're trying to accomplish, right? So if you're looking at this from a sales enablement technology sort of thing, then there's a tech cost that would be comparable with an equity mining tool or something like that. Probably a couple $1,000s, right? If you're interested in creating marketing automations, doing conquest, enabling your digital efforts or social efforts, there's more costs associated with doing that stuff, especially if you want us to fulfill those needs.
I mean, there's variable costs when it comes to variable expense.
Of course. Yep.
Audience?
Go ahead.
Yep. Absolutely. So we have marketing automations first and foremost that can deliver either print, email, digital, text, whatever to that customer at the right time with high leverage information using that predictive.
Time. Thanks for applause, please.
Very good.
Very nicely done. Good work.
Great job, Em.
Thank you.
Good work. We've come to the end. So we need your score, please, if you don't mind. Nathan, are we going to present in here the winner? We are? You guys are tallying that real time? You guys are amazing. So hang around. You're going to find out who the winner is if you haven't already figured that out. But we'll know in a moment probably when we see the judges' score here. So, Nathan, is there lunch?
It's happening now.
All right. So we're holding lunch for all of you because you're so important and your scores are so important. So the judges seem to be ready. We'll see if there's further collusion between our Olympic judges, both from the U.S. team. All right, so 3, 2, 1, reveal. Good, great, thank you. And a little bit of context.
Yeah, I think the product is very timely with everything that's happening with interest rates. I certainly think that you can utilize this tool. Again, I typically fall into go-to-market. So how do we crystallize this? How does a dealer simply use this? And how do they get trained really well? Because if you don't train them really well, a lot of data can be confusing.
Yeah, it's a great product. It's a great product with a storied history. This space is definitely a crowded one when it comes to data and looking at those things. So I think one of the telling tales is retention. We didn't get to ask that question, but you see a lot of flipping in this space. But overall, good presentation, good product. Just a crowded space.
Excellent. Round of applause for our judges, please. Hopefully everyone has scored. Everybody scored. Anybody still waiting to score? Having technical issues, etc. All right, great. So let's all hang tight and we'll wait for how long? Oh, are we ready? Oh, there we go. SpaceAuto. Round of applause for SpaceAuto. Great work, Nick. All right, cool. So Nick will be joining us on stage tomorrow, and later today we'll find out about who the third company is when we commingle the data with the folks next door. So thanks for hanging out. Have a good lunch. Congratulations, Nick. And we will see Nick up on the main stage tomorrow and wait with anxiety around who the number 3 is. Thank you.